I'll have a really angry, powerful evening. All good things come to an end eventually. And Prime Minister Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, knows this better than anyone else. He is resigning. I'll show you, I already showed it on my Telegram channel, the popularity of all these leaders, including Starmer. And his popularity was even higher than that of Merz and Monsieur Macron. Well, Ursula von der Leyen's was a bit higher, probably because they also counted the votes of her children and asked who they would vote for just in case. So that's how, little by little, the people who brought the European Union to this very difficult situation are leaving. And Starmer, even though the UK isn't in the EU, let's just say he brought Europe here. And on top of that, many deals with Ukraine are also being called into question. But let's take it step by step. So what do we have here? The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Keir Starmer, is preparing to resign. Why? Well, he has practically lost the support of his closest allies. And that's all because in the UK and Ireland there's turmoil due to migration policy. No jobs, no pensions, no gas, but there is $1 billion injection into Ukraine. But naturally any country would howl like a wolf, its citizens would, if they saw something like that. And the British held out for a long time. After all, they have more love of freedom than in Ukraine now, which is called the stronghold of democracy. So here we have reports that the Prime Minister may announce the date of his resignation on Monday, June 22nd, which is tomorrow. At the time of recording this video, a government source told the Telegraph that Starmer is reflecting on his future over Saturday and Sunday. He probably took some rum and is sitting in front of the fireplace, recalling his good deeds and all those actions of his that led to the prosperity of the United Kingdom. Basically, he's not remembering anything, just sitting there lost in his own thoughts. Maybe about Macron, maybe about Zelensky, maybe about Trump. In general, memories come to mind and failures keep following Starmer one after another. Well, what can you do? There's no one to blame here except yourself. Then they say the following: Starmer realizes that the game is over, game over, as the powerful British say, and they think about how to preserve their legacy. Again, what legacy? An apartment somewhere or what? A source at The Observer says that the Prime Minister looks resigned to the necessity of stepping down. But maybe Starmer, the more has done his duty, the more may go, and this more has faced the harsh reality. There is no more support, and everyone understands that the current situation is no longer viable. It would be interesting, of course, to find out what exactly the situation is. So is it just with Britain, with Europe, with Ukraine, relations with the US, or is it all of this together? You could say it's a complete fiasco. And besides that, 5 ministers in his cabinet privately urged Starmer to set a timeline for his departure. Among them are the Minister of Transport, the Foreign Secretary, the Home Secretary, and several others who are no less famous than the old Starmer himself. On top of that, it's interesting that the Minister for Business and Trade says that Starmer actually does have authority. For example, he held several meetings with the Prime Minister of India and concluded several trade deals, which, according to this very Minister for Business and Trade, actually indicates that Starmer does have authority. But on the other hand, if India signed contracts that are beneficial for itself, then what difference does it make who they sign and discuss these trade agreements with? Here, as Zelensky said before, you can make a deal even with the devil himself as long as there is a benefit. Zelensky was actually talking about something else, but in principle the result is about the same as with Starmer. The next thing is that there was an agreement here about the fact that Britain is planning to create cheap missiles for Ukraine without American components. The UK presented 3 prototype long-range missiles, and for some reason not for its own army but for the Ukrainian one. All of them were created without a single American component, but apparently they were all made following the Chinese model based on Chinese designs, which is why there are no American components. The first samples, it was reported, could end up in Kyiv's hands by the end of this year. The project is called Break Break Stop, and 3 companies have been working on it since the end of 2024. According to the British official, the delivery of other missiles depends on American guidance systems and mapping data, and this has repeatedly disrupted their use. Since the end of 2024, in order to bypass restrictions from your side from Washington. And this missile has been developed, it will be produced at a rate of 20 units per month at a price of about £400,000 each. Without the warhead, that's just for the metal tube and the electronics. I think that's great. And then the warhead itself is about 1,400 or 1,500, but that's already in the classified part of the contract. plus taxes, plus kickbacks. In short, it's 2 million per missile, just like that. Where is Zelensky going to get that kind of money? What money is he going to pay with? Well, obviously not with his own money or Ukrainian money, but with European money and also with money from the UK. So there's a double benefit here. You produce the missiles and your own country's government pays for them. I think it's great. It's a win-win scheme. No business coach could come up with a better option. Then there was another complicated situation here with the United Kingdom and now with Crimea. Today, Aksyonov, the head of Crimea, announced that even sales of fuel to private individuals have stopped, meaning Crimea has huge problems. By the way, what I mentioned earlier about Crimea being logistically restricted and not allowing fuel supply routes to be filled has turned out to be true. Of course, this brings no joy, especially to the civilian population. As long as I can remember, since 2014 it's always been something, either the water gets cut off or the electricity. That's how it is back then. I used to discuss it with friends and relatives, saying, well, okay, you're fighting there, but who are you really making things worse for? If you cut off the drinking water and think that now there will be a breakthrough, that everyone will suddenly start supporting your side, that's just strange, honestly. And now it's pretty much the same thing, just like what the head of Crimea is saying. Let's take a look.
Dear Crimeans, 9-0, at Crimean gas stations. The sale of fuel for cash, non-cash payments, and coupons to legal entities and individuals will be stopped. Fuel will only be provided to government services that ensure the livelihood and security of the Republic of Crimea. All decisions made regarding the operation of gas stations will be announced additionally. I ask everyone to remain calm and rely only on official sources of information.
By the way, the voice sounds somewhat like Zhirinovsky's. I don't know why, but it reminded me of him. Anyway, there's something similar. And what else is mentioned in Crimea's statement? It was previously stated that fuel deliveries to the city are being delayed, and because of this, fuel distribution to motorists in Sevastopol was cancelled by QR codes. Refueling will now only be carried out for emergency service vehicles. Well, all of this was caused by the fact that at night, in addition to other problems, a strike was carried out on the seaport and several other facilities. Plus logistics, and today they also showed how vehicles were burning roughly along the same route. Now where is that video? I'll show it to you as well. Well, this is what happened at night. These are the strikes on Kerch, and this also indirectly affects things, of course, especially when the ports are being hit. And what other videos do we have? Today I prepared this. It's on the highway. It turns out several fuel trucks were bombed and cars are standing on both the left and right sides because they can't go. Here's the continuation. Here it is. Here
it is. Another one. This is right now, just now. One is burning ahead. Well, that's it. There are so many cars standing there. Earlier they wrote that one is burning ahead and they will block logistics. Another one. First the land routes.
Then the sea routes, and that same night 3 ferries were bombed. There's also a video showing them smoking. All 3 are shown. All these stop channels posted despite the bans. Only the Crimean bridge remains, which connects the peninsula to the mainland. Well, and then obviously the main strike against it follows. That is, I think even the smallest hedgehog in the most remote forest understands how this all should end. That is, most likely there will be an attack on the Crimean bridge, and most likely it will be a massive attack that simply cannot be repelled by existing methods. Another question is how this will end, because it's escalation after escalation. And despite the fact that all sides together have been drawing red lines along with brown ones over the past few months, this could actually be the end of it. It's already very sad because, well, the Crimean bridge is, according to Putin, again one of the factors of Russia's national security. And since it was previously stated that if there is a threat to Russia's national security, they will respond by all possible means, including nuclear weapons. And naturally, there's nothing good here for anyone at all. Because if they strike even with tactical weapons, economically, the entire world economy will fall into a very deep hole and relations between countries will go there as well. Pandora's box will be opened. And even those who for some reason now think that a nuclear strike on any target is a good thing will find out firsthand that it's actually bad. Well, you just need to think more than one step ahead to understand this. That's the way it is. In short, I'm afraid this will end with some very bad things. Naturally, both visitors and residents feel this. The residents of Crimea, because many people in Crimea are panicking. Hundreds of cars are leaving the peninsula. After the drone attack, Kerch reports an oil depot burning near the bridge. Now it's open again, but more than 700 cars want to leave Crimea, and what's burning are exactly those car ferries I mentioned. 3 ferries are fucking burning. 1, 2, 3. That's it, we're fucked. A short video, concise and to the point. Sorry about the swearing, but that's not from me. There are about 700 cars lined up towards Russia. This is officially reported in the public group dedicated to the situation on the Crimean bridge. It says there's a big traffic jam. People are waiting for 3 hours or even longer. It turns out that the Ukrainian attack on the ferry in Krasnodar Krai led to the temporary closure of the ferry crossing. It was used specifically for delivering essential goods, fuel, and military cargo. At the same time, there were also power outages on the peninsula. And here are a few pictures of the fire. After that, there were disruptions in heating supply. Representatives of the Crimean authorities also stated, or rather urged, citizens not to use high-power electrical appliances unless necessary, including air conditioners, irons, and so on. Because the power system is barely hanging on right now. That's exactly why. Because Ukraine is destroying the energy infrastructure, and the logistics infrastructure, since it's already destroyed, fuel delivery is a big question. And there are also questions about what kind of fuel reserves there are in Crimea. And again, the tension here is so high that if something happens, no one will get off easy. At night in Crimea, they said energy system facilities were attacked. That's what I was talking about, but for now it's unclear exactly what targets were hit. They were attacked, but it's clear that the attack apparently succeeded because there are certain restrictions in place now. Here are some more details as well. In Kerch, drones struck the port and several facilities. These are the consequences of the attack. There's a bit of information here. Here are the same images of possible drone strikes in Kerch on the night of the 25th and the 21st of June. That is the military base, the terminal I mentioned, the Avkaz port, Kavkaz, and much more. So that's how things are. Again, no one should be happy about this because all of this leads to escalation. Ordinary people will suffer first and foremost. We will be the ones to suffer, not someone else. Those who allow this on both sides. They eat well and sleep soundly on soft beds, but they make things hard for those who obey. What's next? Next is about Ukraine. Here too things are made easy for those absent without authorization. They say that no matter where you look, there are only benefits for the mid-level officers. For those who deserted on their own, often, pure Ukrainians. And if you decide to come back, then that's it. You get everything. Rewards, food, basically everything in the world. How true that is, who knows? Well, they're preparing a program now, but there's only one option. They give it for within a certain deadline. If you don't use it, well, then it's criminal charges and everything. But at least you can come back with just one click. For military personnel in the USSR, the State Special Transport Service still has the option to submit documents through recruitment centers or directly to the chosen military unit. There are a lot of different rules here. Well, in general, they've developed some kind of program, but I have a feeling that once again, for ordinary people who without a doubt are the State Special Transport Service members, whether officers or soldiers, they won't come up with anything good. So right now, things are really tough everywhere. In Europe, in the US, and between Ukraine and Russia, there's already PEMSA. You can remember PEMSA or PERM, where they say that Buzification has started too. By the way, if anyone lives there, let us know if that's true or not. There are many rumors, photos, and videos, but it's honestly unclear what's happening, who is being arrested, or what they're doing. Please write in the comments whether it's true or not if you've seen it, or maybe you were direct participants in the events yourself. And for now, let's watch Lidoriev. But first, we'll have a blogger with an auto repair shop, right from Crimsky Island on the right. Under the watchful guidance of young Elton John Lennon, who suddenly took off his glasses, now he doesn't look like either of them. Elton John's bangs, Lennon's goatee and mustache, what's happening? Please, restore everything to how it was.
Lito writes that in the coming days, Mr. Novrotsky will decide to strip the president of Ukraine of the Order of the White Eagle. Yeah, it's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace. Yes. So...
For some reason, all of Ukraine suddenly became concerned about this very white eagle that Zelensky was stripped of. Suddenly, it seemed like everyone had been awarded it. Mayors, mayors' dogs, and just about anyone you can think of had been given some kind of Polish order. And suddenly everyone started bravely refusing it. The former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Poland, I think, said at the time, "All right, forget about the orders, you don't need them. Okay, you can refuse them at any time, but why don't you refuse the money? The weapons and the aid that Poland provided you, and after that we'll see how principled you really are." He said this to Ukraine, and overall he's actually right. Because it's one thing to make a big show of returning your medals, even using Nova Poczta. Imagine that, sending a package to the president of Poland himself. Wow, that's quite something, like a king to another king. It's completely different to give back everything Poland gave Ukraine. Billions in free aid, basically for nothing, as the owl in Winnie the Pooh would say. So these are not the same at all. What's next? Next we have a few more notable brothers in arms, but I can't remember if I showed this character before, the one in some kind of red. Take a look, that's clearly not a maroon beret, it's just something else. Oh, you can't see him, right? I'm not showing him to you, let me show you now as well. Here he is. Well, let's take a look.
Who is the most in-demand specialist in the brigade right now? Are there any positions that are vacant?
There's no such word as vostrebovani in the Ukrainian language.
Our brigade is currently growing, and our battalion within the brigade is also growing, so we need everyone, absolutely everyone, starting from assault troops and ending with supply logisticians. We really lack UAV operators, we really lack engineers, so a large number of battalions are needed. And since we are growing, this need is increasing even more.
Well, it's clear all the units are growing, but for some reason there aren't any more assault troops. It's strange, how does a brigade grow if assault troops die off pretty quickly? So who stays? Economists, some accountants, drone operators, specialists in sharpening office pencils, or what? Who is filling up the ranks there? Crooks aren't needed at all if there are no assault troops, there's no one to feed. It's a very strange situation, but overall, everything in the world right now is very strange and unsettled. You can see for yourself we're waiting for the main developments, especially in Crimea, to see what happens next. Write in the comments what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I hope you like it, and be sure to comment on what's happening. Goodbye, everyone.
Forward, forward, Poroshenko, forward.